When families are caring for aging parents, most of them feel like they're piecing it together alone. They don't even realize there are providers who will walk with them all the way through the end of life. That is exactly what Diane Pagan does.
From the minute I step foot into a home and meet them for the first time until the very end during their last breath, I've done everything that they've wanted.
Diane is a nurse practitioner with decades of experience who built her practice around one thing: what matters most to each older adult.
I never forget my patients. I remember every single one of them.
If you've ever wondered how to even find somebody like this, that is exactly why we've built the Tendercare Trusted Network, so families can connect with providers like Diane when it absolutely matters most. Here is my conversation with Diane Pagan.
Can you explain what your role is and what your responsibilities are?
So my role is twofold. I'm the owner and entrepreneur for Senior Moments Care. So that in and of itself is a business role that I wear, and I'm still learning how to do that. And then the other main part of what I do as a nurse practitioner is seeing patients who are over the age of 85 in their homes. My average patient age is 90, so when I go into the home, I take care of the patients. I try to really help with families as well. I provide support for them, not just medically, but emotionally, socially, and try and evaluate the whole situation and what's going on between both the patient point of view and the family point of view. And that's what I do for a living.
How did you end up here, and what keeps you coming back? Because this sounds like some heavy stuff sometimes.
This has been a vision that I've had for over 20 years that I finally made it come to fruition. Before I started Senior Moments Care, I was working for a large organization, and there was a corporate takeover, as there is in many of these organizations. And I was trying to introduce ideas at the time that I thought would really help support our older population, our most vulnerable and complex patients, because that was my role. And I just kept getting bureaucratic, reasons why it wouldn't work, and hitting walls, and there were policy restrictions. And it was my aha moment. I realized then that if I wanted to see these things come to fruition, I needed to do it myself. So I took a leap and I decided to start a practice that was based on creating a form of care that I knew didn't exist and that I felt would really help these patients. And the best part about it is all those things that I fought for at the time, they're working.
That's amazing. Yeah. Are there any patients or stories that remind you this is the reason why I keep coming back to this work every day?
There definitely is. The work is definitely not your typical day's work. A journey can start off one way and end a completely different way. I had one family member in particular who told me that my caring for her mom during her last year of life provided more comfort and calm than she thought could realistically happen. And this patient unfortunately passed away, but she told me that the death experience also was very peaceful, because her mom was home and she was surrounded by the people she loved, and this was what the mom wanted, and she didn't know that anything like that could even exist.
As a caregiver for my grandmother for the last 8 years, it would be almost impossible for me to see somebody stepping in, and I feel like a lot of people have either both sides, right? They have a strong hold on the person that they love, or they're so, everything is so out of control that they don't even know where to turn. I guess, what advice would you have for both sides who...
Absolutely. Absolutely. So when I go into a home, again, I'm there for both the patient and the family. And what I try and do is listen. So I always try to provide a calm environment. I listen without judgment. It's something that too few providers do nowadays. And I really try to understand what each party is looking for, and I base everything I do off of that. So I don't come in and dictate to them what they should do. I listen to where their needs are, and yes, I do assessments and I'll pick up on safety things, but it's always a conversation. And I find that no matter what the culture or what the dynamic may be between the family and that patient, just being able to them knowing that I'm just listening and there's no judgment on that really does help create that initial trust and empathy.
Yeah. So as we were listening to you you speaking to your patients, you seem to have a lot of trust between you and the patient, and you have a lot of empathy for these people. Where do you think that comes from?
I don't know, actually. I think it's something that has grown over the years of me practicing in this field. I've been a nurse practitioner for 28 years, and I wasn't always like this. I do remember times where I just was, not even listening to what the patient was saying and already preparing what I was going to say back. And at some point in my career, it hit me that this doesn't work, and telling somebody what to do doesn't work. But listening is just the one key that really opens up a whole dynamic between myself and the patient that they just don't get. So I think it grows with time. I'm in awe of all of my older patients. I think that they've lived unbelievable lives, and to be able to show them the respect and give them the attention that they need and that they don't really get elsewhere is huge. And I think somehow it must come across to my patients and families as well, because they say that they see this, but I just see it as they deserve it.
Yeah. So it seems like you're with patients until the very end. How do you, if at all, detach yourself from the inevitable?
I kind of take the journey along with the family and the patient. So the whole premise of my practice is so that I can take care of my older adults while they're well, as they get sick, and transitioning toward end of life as well. And during that whole process, we're constantly having conversations and talking about things, and there's always choices and options. And together, we always seem to travel the path and the journey, and we all know where it's going because it happens with all of us. But I think what makes it easier is knowing that from the minute I step foot into a home and meet them for the first time until the very end of during their last breath, I've done everything that they've wanted. That makes a huge difference. So no matter how sick a person is, if they tell me that they don't want to go to the hospital, I will support them in the home. And the family gets this sense of relief. They feel like they're not in this alone, and they feel that we don't have any regrets because the whole plan was geared on what worked for that person. And not a lot of people can say that. So I don't detach. I can't detach. I find that I'm fine up until the very end, and then usually a week later, I'm really missing that person and the dynamic. And I've had some patients for a couple of years, and it's hard. I get into a routine with each one and their families, and I'm meeting daughters there, and it's hard. I never forget my patients. I remember every single one of them, and hopefully the families remember me too.
I can't even imagine how heavy it must be to, especially with how long you've been in this line of work, to get attached. You become you become family to these people. You check up on them often, and we all know what's coming, and it must be tough. But I think the fact that you can't detach yourself from your patients and these people is a testament to how much you give to these people and how much you're really attaching yourself to the patient. So I have so much respect for people who are in this line of work and who continue to show up every day, because it would be easy to just say, you know what, I think it's time for me to go. This is too much. So I have so much
Thank
respect
you.
for you.
No, I appreciate
It's very
that.
commendable. Where does tendercare fall into all of this, and how did you end up with tendercare?
So tendercare, with Shauna Sweeney, we met at a table event. She had a table, I had a table, and we were kind of showing off our businesses, and it was in an assisted living. And we introduced one another to each other, and I liked her immediately. She has this energy about her and this friendliness and empathy, and we just hit it off. We became friends, we exchanged numbers, and then I sat down and looked at all the things that she's doing with tendercare, and I was amazed. I said, this is incredible. And I think we share a lot of the same values. We both have compassion, we have empathy for what we do, we have high standards for what we're looking to achieve, and that's huge too. And I feel that working with tendercare or partnering with tendercare, it's basically, it only provides a more holistic support system for the patients in general. So we can do so much individually, but when you partner with other organizations and somebody like Shauna and tendercare, it's so much more that we can give to the
Yeah,
patients.
that's amazing. For people who want to hire a Diane but don't have the privilege of being in your area, what are some things that you like? What are some tips that you would give to people when they're searching for somebody to help them out in this time?
Absolutely. So that's a great question. What I try and do is really direct them to the organizations that I know would be able to provide the support in the areas that they need it. So maybe the support they need is not a medical practitioner, maybe it's a geriatric care manager, or maybe it's a nursing service, and I can provide them with the information on how to go about doing that. I can call their providers for them and really say, hey, can you do a referral to home care? Maybe they need a hospice referral, and that's what they're looking for. My whole first 6 to 8 months was pretty much freebies. I was going out and seeing patients, and I didn't care if they paid me or not. And then my practice manager, Virginia, finally sat me down. She's like, okay, we can't keep doing this, so we have to charge a fee. So I was like, okay. But you know, my ultimate goal and my vision, this isn't where it stops. I do have a huge vision that I hope will one day come to fruition, but part of that entails the give and take for those patients who can't afford it. So whether it's supplies or equipment or just the medical care in general, I do want to be able to offer that at some point. Yeah.
Speaking of that, and last question, the future of caregiving, and because you see the business side of it, but you're also getting your hands dirty, and you're in here in the homes. Where do you see the future of caregiving going, and do you have hope for the future of caregiving? What are your thoughts on that?
I do. I feel that people are really starting to pay attention to our aging population. I feel that it's starting to get the attention that it deserves and needs. I'd love to be part of that. I'd love to be a voice in better healthcare systems. I think we have a long way to go, and I'm trying to pay it forward with other nurse practitioners and possibly helping them start their own practice. I think my vision and for healthcare is to be able to have an all-inclusive place where anybody over the age of 80 can go, or their family members, and any question they have, we have it there on site. We can answer it, we can see them. We have attorneys there if they need to do a living will. We have caregivers there. We have give and take, where if you want to give old medical equipment and you need something, you take it back. I just feel that until we have everything in one place, and I don't mean like a lab and an x-ray, I mean all of the emotional, spiritual, supportive things. When they're all in one place, I feel like we'll have come a long way in helping with that.
That's amazing. I love that. A one-stop shop, because this is such a heavy time for families, right? And so to go to a place that you trust, and then to hear that you have to go to another
place, so maybe one day we'll be there, and and be able to support those who have cognitive impairment and things like that as well, all in one place. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much, Diane.
Thank you. Thank you.
When families are caring for aging parents, most of them feel like they're piecing it together alone. They don't even realize there are providers who will walk with them all the way through the end of life. That is exactly what Diane Pagan does.
From the minute I step foot into a home and meet them for the first time until the very end during their last breath, I've done everything that they've wanted.
Diane is a nurse practitioner with decades of experience who built her practice around one thing: what matters most to each older adult.
I never forget my patients. I remember every single one of them.
If you've ever wondered how to even find somebody like this, that is exactly why we've built the TenderCare Trusted Network, so families can connect with providers like Diane when it absolutely matters most. Here is my conversation with Diane Pagan.